What's up, everybody? This is Edward back with another video. Today, I want to do a quick video, real quick, giving my thoughts on splitting up versus uniting, and why splitting up is often the way to go. Here's the issue that I think a lot of us as a people have, and this puts us in a very submissive position, not only with white people, but with a lot of different situations. Black people are very childlike in a lot of areas, and it's obvious as it comes out. In the title, I talk about, why the Catholic Church and why the Protestant Church split. Yeah, what's up, MOT? Why the Protestant Church split from the Catholic Church, and then why you have so many denominations in the Protestant Church. And there's a reason why I decided to use that analogy. It's not that these things there's anger or there's issues or there's anger with it, but what it is when you have clearly different values, it's not about saying, okay, I cannot fuck with that person anymore, but it's very important to create an infrastructure around those separate values. Sometimes you can unite, like when you look at the Old Testament versus New Testament. The Old Testament is different than the New Testament, but they still decide to lump that in one book and rotate a religion around that. And obviously, a lot of the split between the Catholic Church and then what to be the Protestant Church and its denominations is really political and power driven. So we're gonna ignore all of that because I understand that part. But the main thing is, and the main political part is, people. I forget, was it the Church of England? They did not want to be up under the Pope. It didn't fucking matter that in any and there's different kind of loose things when it comes to Catholic Church. Is not all exactly one entity, but it pretty much is. They said no, we are going to create our own thing, or we're going to separate, because the idea of the Pope is not something that we respect, or that we're going to respect his authority. Period. No matter how you slice it, no matter how you dice it, no matter how you try to reframe it, that issue is the issue right now. So the only way to solve that problem is to split. And then you got, the Church of England, Protestant Church, and then from there on, the church will have its own denominations that you see everywhere. So Catholicism is what it is to this day. And then you have all of the various denominations within America and in other parts of the world when it comes to the church. I mean, you got Ethiopia, you got a whole bunch of different stuff. We already know I'm not an expert at all the denominations. I'm not going to pretend to be. I came up when it came to Baptist, and even within the Baptist church, you still have, a lot of mainly white Baptist church and black Baptist church. You have more mixed churches, but still they're separated like that. Anyway, that's not the point. The reason why I wanted to make that point is because when it's the same thing, politics. You have the Democrat and Republican Party actually used to be one party, and it split. And even amongst the Democratic and Republican parties, they're not so much parties as they're really tent houses. They really house a lot of different parties, to be honest, that are not formally recognized as their own party. This is why you have like the Green Party, the Libertarian Party, that operate outside of that. They elect their own candidates and stuff like that. But really, the parties today in America are really tent houses. And it's really interesting when you can look outside of America and how America has kind of a consistent agenda, no matter even what candidate you put in there. It's just a matter of how that agenda oftentimes is administered, especially with international affairs. BGS talks a lot about that. It does matter who you vote for, but how it's and putting Obama in there and Trump shit really let you know that. But how things are administered is generally gonna be a lot of the same way, because you have a lot of other entities that are helping to push the government forward, like deep state shit, corporate interests that puts a lot of stuff forward. That's that American Inc. part versus actually United States of America part. I say this because when you look at a lot of what goes on in the community and how we've been socialized and stuff like that, the only real answer is to split. That's the only real answer. Everything else is just hoping and praying bullshit. That's really all it is. It's hoping, it's praying, it's not wanting to really address it. It's basically, Jason Black said, a goal. He said a goal without a plan. I believe he said that is a wish, and that's really what a lot of people are doing. Even if they take action behind a wish, it still is a wish. Because at the end of the day, there are certain things that people are being. It's not about people, because they, dismissing shit with saying, well, people hate black women. Like, I don't think people really know what hate is, because hate is a very strong word. It really is. And that's a very emotional word that's used in order to dismiss strong grievances. It's used to dismiss. It's basically saying, well, if you operate, it's like me saying, I'm technically a registered Democrat. It's like a Republican saying, I hate America because I'm a registered Democrat. That's goofy. It's goofy as hell. Especially understanding when a lot of people that are Republican were a lot of people that has family members broke off from the America as far as trying to create, the damn Confederate States. But they'll say that. It makes no. It does make sense. It makes sense to what people. But again, it comes back to the con. It always comes back to the con. And when I use the term con, what I mean to use is to say, look, it's very clear what the problems have been presented as to what they are. People are very clear as to what the problems are. So we're either going to work to deal with them or we're not. But speaking to what people want things to be without working through the problem is just wishing and fucking hoping. It's no different that if I talk about like the black church, for example, I'm not saying, I'm saying these are the issues that need to be addressed in the church. Okay, you're either going to do it or not do it. Now, if you're a particular person where you're saying, you know what, I take the good and the bad, and the bad, and I want to pretend the good outweighs the bad, so I'm cool with it. Well, then you're cool with where things are. And if you're cool with where things are, that's okay. You may be bothered about it a little bit, but at the end of the day, you fundamentally accepted it. That's fine. Just know there are going to be other people that basically decide to opt out. Like, for instance, I have Spectrum internet. I don't like my internet. My phone fucking sucks as far as my internet connection. The phone is great hardware-wise, but the internet is bad. The Wi-Fi is not that much better, but it is a little bit better. It's enough to do what I need, but it's clearly not what AT&T was. But do I really want to spend the money, which I will opt my phone out, but spend the money to opt my cable out and opt everything out compared to the price that I paid? The answer is no, not right now. I'm going to deal with it for now until I put myself in a different situation, location-wise and shit like that. So I've accepted that the internet sucks, but it is acceptable for what I need it to be for now. I've accepted it. Now, every once in a while, I joke around and say the fucking internet sucks. I do say that. But when it makes me look like I got Obama wireless, but ultimately I've come to terms with it, and that's really what you see in like the manosphere. You see people arguing, and we may have the same grievances, but you got people that have fundamentally come to terms with it. They call it dying on that hill. And then you got people that refuse to accept it. And there's a lot of black men that some of them are married and has come to terms with it. Some of them are cohabitating with their women and come to terms with it. Some of them are married and they haven't come to terms with it, or they've been married It doesn't mean just because you're married, it's just like you fall in one category or other. But the point is, the stats are the stats. Dudes are opting out. And that's not going to change. And what happens is people really are really waiting for like this wake up call to where it becomes so blindingly obvious that, and really people shouldn't need that. They really shouldn't. You should be able to look at what like kind of where the wind is blowing and kind of know where that is. And usually by the time something becomes absolutely blinding obvious, it's really too late. Like to give you an example, by the time everybody realized, hey, Bitcoin is rising and rising and rising, the biggest gains to be had was too late. By the time you see Netflix or a company be what it is, it's too late. You've seen the peak. And then it's just gonna go down from here. It takes. This is why a lot of people get mad at BGS, especially on this female stuff, because BGS is telling you shit that's like very, very, very early, and when things are very early, When things are very early, it's not obvious. So what happens is, by the time something becomes obvious and accepted by the general population, it's already too late at that point. I'll give you an example with the real estate crisis. There were people that predicted the real estate crisis in like 2008. There was people that predicted that shit in like 2002, 2001. They predicted that shit earlier than that. As soon as the law started to change as far as how currency is dealt with, it was Alan Greenspan and them motherfuckers. They predicted this would happen. And then there was people that the whole time, if you knew who to fucking listen to, even people like Robert Kiyosaki, if you knew who to listen to, they said this shit's gonna blow. This shit's gonna blow the fuck up. They predicted a lot of these. There's people that's predicted like a lot of the shit that's going away before BGS. Like years ago, because they saw how it could move, and it's like their own models about, based on you doing this is probably what's going to happen. They don't know exactly how it's going to happen, but they have a good idea as far as when it's going to happen. And then they adjust those models. And then when you look at, like, for instance, the wealth, because black people lost a massive amount of wealth in the 2010s because they never recovered what they lost in the real estate crisis. Black people never recovered it. And the economy reorganized for the most part. So a lot of the shit that people were going to school for, a lot of IT industries really came into prominence in the 2010s. Like for real. Where now you didn't need a degree. I know I'm jumping around. You needed more of a license or a certification. The point is, at some point you have to accept what the reality of the situation is and move forward. It's not about hating somebody. If I can't stand somebody, I'm going to make it very clear I don't like this. I don't hate gay people, but I have a very, very clear, we have a very, very clear divide as far as, it's not about lifestyle. Because just like how I want a fucking bitch acting like a hoe around me as far as twerking and thotting in inappropriate situations, the same thing with that shit. But my point is, the issue, for instance, with the LGBT community or the gay with black folks is they can only thrive in a community that is in chaos. They cannot thrive in an actual community that is an actual fundamentally competitive community. They can't. So their agenda is diametrically opposed to the quote unquote black agenda. That just or anybody, and whether people say what is a black agenda? Okay, if you have if you are someone that believes that black people need to be competitive as a group, then fundamentally, like and you understand what it takes to be competitive, you tell me how that fits in the long term, how that fits with what they can do, and what that the community that has to look like is not a community they will be able to thrive in. And here's the thing. That's not because it's impossible for them to thrive. It's because they've made that decision. I could go back and forth with that, but the reality of the situation, it's actually not an impossibility to solve that problem. But the reality is they want the ability. Like, I'm gonna tell you how insidious this is, and people will say, "Wow, well, you talking about gay shit? What are you talking about?" Let me give you an example. Give you a perfect example of what the fuck I'm talking about, and how this makes sense. What are most of the complaints when it comes to the LGBT community right now? What are they doing? Well, so let's start with gay marriage. And I know it sounds like it's about to go off script, but it's not. When gay marriage passed, why was it important for them to have gay marriage versus just civil unions? It was important because it was a cultural change. It was such a cultural change in the zeitgeist that if you were willing to accept, and by the way, people didn't vote for that shit. That shit, they had to use the Supreme Court to do it. If you accept gay marriage, then you fundamentally really dismantle what marriage is anyway. Because you fundamentally accepted that, then you can accept them in every other society. This was subconscious in the collective zeitgeist of the United States. This is why everything started to accelerate in an extremely massive way after gay marriage. If you look at before gay marriage passed versus after gay marriage passed, the speed at which a lot of this stuff started to happen, like, exponentially went up. Fast forward to where we are today, because remember, Defense of Marriage Act and shit like that, that was in the 2000s. It wasn't this long ago. But fast forward to where we are today, now what you have is the children. It's been a deliberate choice. You see shit with Dwayne Wade, who's supposedly heterosexual. The children now are targeted. Where you're teaching children at an earlier age that being, not having any kind of role or structure, that is not only okay, but that's preferred. Now, here's another thing I want you to notice that I'm adding here. Notice how socially acceptable it is to effeminize black boys. You don't see white boys being put up as white boys can be princesses and stuff like that. You don't see that because they know that would not be accepted. That would not be accepted by the greater society because that's going to be seen as an attack. But it's accepted to attack black boys in that way because it's the script. So it's not me sitting here saying because I feel a certain way about what a motherfucker is doing that I'm just adding like an ideology behind it. No, these are very deliberate things. You all can't show me a whole bunch of, you can't show me celebrities that are basically taking their boys and transforming them into girls. You can't show me that because white people would not accept that. White people would not like to see that because they're structured differently and they have the ability to enforce that structure. This is why you always see black boys targeted for this. This is why you can have a white celebrity, Charlize Theron, that can have a black boy and then basically turn him into a girl. This is also why Dwayne Wade can get away with the shit he's doing. Because they see that as an attack, but that's an acceptable attack on black people because that goes back on the script of I'm going somewhere with this. That goes back to the script of effeminizing and destroying the boys. And a lot of this shit is done a lot of this shit is done, yes, it's done overtly, but it's done more covertly. And then the overt stuff is just finishing the job. But the covert stuff is how you set it up. So probably the biggest issue with black boys now is black boys are set up to fail. Because you have a community that believes, the only community that believes this. No, you can't show me any other community on the planet, regardless of ethnic group, regardless of race, regardless of religion, regardless of any metric by which you want to segment a group. You cannot show me a group that is actually like in what we call a parameter of autonomous. Not a group that's under another group, but I mean a group that's actually to a certain extent autonomous that operates that way by which they believe that your women And when I say your women, I'm talking about a group where the women believe that. Remember, Donald Trump was put in office by a lot of white women when they had the opportunity to put a white man in office. I picked up people from universities, more than one, liberal ones, in which young white women, 22, 21, and 19, stated that they do not believe a woman should be a president. And I'm talking many, many times I heard this. And these are not women that are necessarily from the South. Many, many times I heard this. These are educated women in some of the elite schools. They said that. And you see it in the numbers by which Donald Trump was elected when it comes to that demographic. You can look at the Republican Party and know the Republican Party is it's not a white male. It is like a lot of white, but you get what I'm saying. There's other women in there. They're female senators, not governors now. The point is, my point. What am I going with all of this? What my point is this. If we're not going to address what the elephants in the room is, then why bring it up? Why talk about it? I'm talking about it because there's a need to address the elephants in the room, and I'm speaking to the elephants. I know it's hard. I know people don't want to admit. It's kind of like the Catholic Church when it comes to like what a lot of their priests do with kids. I know it's hard. I know the need to shove it under the carpet, to pretend it doesn't exist, to not say this is what the fuck it is and it needs to be fixed now. I know it's hard. And this is why people do what they do. This is how they react, why they react the way they react, because it's so much easier to cover it up. To the point where shit is in plain sight. Like, I know it's hard. I know it's got to be seen as, but one thing that killed me is I'm listening to a video, and at the end of the video, what was said was, I believe that black boys need to lead. And the woman said everything right, but she said, I believe that it needs to be partnered. And partnered is a code word. It's just like how feminism talks about equality. They don't believe in equality. They believe in supremacy, because you cannot have supremacy without having control. You cannot have some people believe you cannot have true freedom without having a supremacy position. Women have been taught that's what patriarchy is. And that's why a lot of these females have bought into the fact of dismantling it, because they believe that anything that they have, they fundamentally have because it's ordained to them, and they don't have that they're given to them as a right of compliance. They don't believe that. That's why a lot of these women, shout out to Donovan Sharp, are figuring out when they get in their mid-30s and shit, oh, these things are not just heir apparent. I'm just not going to get the man of my dreams because they're just going to magically fucking pop up. And my point is, the biggest reason why a lot of black men don't, reach into what people will call the community and give all this shit is because, quite frankly, you have to go to war with the very people that should be partnering with you because it's in their best interest. It's in black women's best interest to raise your boys, because raising boys raises all ships. In the video that was mentioned, raising black women does not raise all ships. It only raises black women. And what it does is it puts black women in a position where the things that really they want, they don't really get. So they look for it in everything else. They try to look for it in spirituality. They try to look for it in each other. They try to look for it in politics. They try to branch out to something else. But fundamentally, they can't feel what they don't have. They try to make a bastard baby a lot of times. Something that will love them unconditionally. But they can never find it because they're going off their biological fucking code. And to be fair, they, like Donovan Sharp would say, they were set up on that path. Now, granted, people set them up on that path, and a lot of people that look like them set them up on that path. But this has never been challenged. Nobody has never came out here in a very serious way and said, this is fucked up. You know why this is fucked up. And quite frankly, at this point, either we need to fix it or we all need to go. We all need to go our own way. All of us. And another thing is, people will talk about, people are talking about SYSB. Man, this is like, I haven't changed. There's not, like, y'all ain't seen nothing in my commentary that's changed. My commentary has always remained consistent. And I've always said good things about SYSBM as well as Igmore. I've always said I have not changed at all with what I'm talking about. It's just I'm highlighting certain things a little bit more than others, because at this point we've had enough conversations to know that people are just gonna do what the fuck they gonna do. So the only way really to deal with that is to put people in a box and say, look, it's either this or that. It ain't both. Period. All right, man, these motherfuckers are lost. That's what it is. I mean, I'd rather, it's time to come to acceptance. It's time to start to say, okay, this is what it is. Because the shit, like, this is really like one of the last chances that people have. But, I just want to be serious about that, because when people expect like it's not like no other group operates that way, where like men are supposed to help the men and the women are supposed to help the women. Like, as far as you have two completely competing groups, no other group operates that way. And I'm gonna keep it real with you. If that's what's being suggested, these dudes might as well go get a female that's gonna be cooperative, whether they're black, ADOS, non-ADOS, or non-black, and just be good. Because that's people talk about gender war and it's genocide. Like, let's keep it real. If that's what it's gonna be, then that's might as well what you do. And then some people will say, well, they don't believe that because of worldview. Well, that's code for I don't have a logic. I can't balance that equation. So I'm just gonna charge it because I can't balance it. No, I've already said it's either this or that, unless people have other factors that they can bring in. And it's not about, oh, well, you hate black women. No, I'm just not about to be up under one. It's really that serious. It's not hard. It's not complicated. MOT, shout out to MOT. MOT has tried to help black boys. You know what happens? Black women come in there and destroy it. They don't come in and help. Like, they don't say, oh, well, there's a black man leading, so let me push him their way. No, they come in there and they fuck it up, because you know why? They want black men's charity, but they don't want black men's leadership. Single mothers love to give their black boys to other black men so they can park them, like they use the education system to do that. But what they don't want is those same systems giving them a script that's not the script they've already accepted, which is fundamentally a white supremacist script anyway. This is why you don't really see black women worried about what these white men and white women teach their boys in school, or the fact that their boys don't do well in school because of the school system is not built for them. You know why? Because that's not what the school system's designed to do for the boys. It's designed to educate the girls, but basically just park the boys. This is real fucking talk. You see it in the homelessness. That's why nobody gives a fuck about black male homelessness. Now let black women start being homeless. Everybody, including a lot of black men, are going to start losing their fucking minds. You see it in the prison system. Why a lot of black women don't give a fuck. Black women only give a fuck about that to the extent that it keeps them from getting a certain type of man they want or getting a man. But they don't really give a fuck from on a human level as far as black men. They don't. And this is just what it is. This is what it is. I said this on my community tab, and I'm going to say it again. And I'm going to start with me. My mom. And my mom is not generally on the same fuckery. But one of the most fuckery things my mom ever did, this is in the top 5, is my mom basically had my middle brother and refused to cut his hair. And it took her cousin to basically just cut that shit. Now, to her credit, she didn't like blow a gasket. It was like an argument, but other than that, she let it go relatively quickly. But she was effeminizing him. Like real fucking talk. And when I look at me, one of the things she used to get annoyed by me was she didn't like me asking questions about shit. And I did not ask a lot of questions. She believed other people other than me. Until, even though multiple times it was proven by other adults at the time that I was telling the truth and they were lying. She believed other women other than me. And the family. Even though these women have proven to be fucking criminals and evil people. Right? I could argue, my point is, like BGS says, is inner. Judge had his story about the long hair shit with his son. BGS said 2 of his daughters did that. Amazing how the son didn't do it, or I guess the woman his son chose didn't do it, but 2 of his daughters did it. Oldest one and youngest one. That's a like pigtails, not ponytails. Pigtails side by side. That is effeminization of black boys right there. And to be fair, he said that they would shame it, but BGS said all the women coded up around his daughters. They all were in on it. The only time it became a problem is when another, I guess a white boy or whatever, asked if her son was a boy or a girl. And that's because that gay shit that double talking shit that black women have with gay shit. Other than that, his hair will probably still be long. I remember when I asked Deity, I said, what are the qualities of a man? And I'm not saying you can't have dreads. That's not what I'm saying. But the point is, she said dreads and gold teeth. But my point is, let's take the men off the table and just talk about the boys. They effeminize them. That's what they do. That's where it starts. Now, people like to say, where is the man? The first decision you ever make for your children is who the father is going to be. Why do we focus on the women? Because the men don't have an ability to just abort kids. I promise you, if you give men the ability to not necessarily over women's bodies, but men the ability to not financially opt out of dealing with kids, I promise you, for the kids that do, there's gonna be some fuck niggas that never take care of their kids. But for the kids that choose to fuck with who they fuck with, the women will have a choice. They'll have to either give the fucking kids up to the dude. So if the dude actually get into a cooperative relationship with a woman, or it is what it is, right? But my point is, it's on them because they have the ability to choose who gets to be born or not. That's real fucking talk. So who would you give it to? Now, if we're going to give men the ability to financially opt out, basically saying, look, I'm telling you right now, you have this kid, I'm not giving you shit. And so I'm telling you now why you can take the morning after pill and shit. Guess what? A lot of these women won't be having these kids. They'll be making sure they're on that fucking birth control, and they'll be damn, man, the Vikings lost again. They'll be making sure they're on that birth control and not making these excuses because they know there's no government that's going to save them, and then other people's parents are not going to do it. But my point is, here's the deal. The deal is it starts when you're young. And what we're doing is we're asking a minority of black men. Remember, only 20% of black men make $50,000 or more. So we're asking a minority of black men to basically be like the caretaker for all black boys. When in actuality, the women are the ones having these kids, and the women are the ones choosing the fathers for these kids. Your responsibility is to your own kid. And I would say people in your family. Like, I do shit for my brothers, my younger brother, and I'm the oldest. None of us have kids yet. Yes, I'll probably be involved if they have kids, just like if I have kids. But this bullshit. But BGS was talking about how he leans on his a little bit on his his son to be a example of manhood for his grandkids, because he's got to reach in to deal with his grandkids, because if he left them to their own devices and retired out, what will fucking happen is You know, he already know what would happen. He says it. And this is not to say, obviously, I'm not saying his daughters are bad people. What I'm saying is, this is an example of the fucking programming. Everybody in the Matrix was not bad. They were a part of the same program. Even the agents couldn't help do what they do. It was a system that they were governed by. Even though they had semi-autonomy as how they administered that, they were still governed by that. And anybody that did not operate on that system was deemed a threat and deemed necessary to be terminated. And I'm not saying that just to have a fucking catchphrase. I'm saying this is what the fuck it is. Doesn't mean I gotta hate somebody. I deal with sisters all the time, every day. I mean, I really like people be thinking I'm just saying that. But at the same time, a lot of this stuff I got in the back of my mind. Cause you know what it is. And a lot of black women know what the fuck it is. But see, and really ain't nothing gonna really change, real talk, until a lot of dudes get really serious about what this is. Because you're not going to fix it. Basically, what's being asked is for black men to accept the system as it is and then try to improve the system as it is, validating that system. I'm saying black men need to separate. I'm saying, and I know this is true, because when I talked to Xanatos, couple of years ago, when I first started talking to him about these situations, Xanatos was not doing no community shit. But Xanatos was open to partnering with black men. Don't mean he's out here saving black boys. But he was open to that chain of saying yes. Because he understood, he said, if the details sound right and there is mutual benefit, I am open to partnership for mutual benefit. But what I'm not going to do is sit there and throw good for bad over a fucking wish. And I'm going to tell you why. Because later on, he got really excited when it came to gentrification. And to be fair, Preem did too. Because they're like, if black men gentrify the community, if we go in there, we go in there. We don't go in there to fix shit. We go in there to basically flip shit. Meaning ain't nobody going in there saving people. We're basically taking the fuck over. But because people know that's not really people, most black men are not, even SYSBM are not going to have the stomach for that. And there's going to be so much resistance. This makes sense. You might as well just split off and create your own thing. And that is okay. That is nothing wrong with that. When the Nation of Islam created its own thing. Hell, Scientology created its own thing. It is okay. It's okay. SYSBM black men are not asking anything of anybody else. Nothing. It's okay. And so people will sit there and say, well, where's the black men? The black men are doing what's in their own best interest. The problem is the community is not in the black men's best interest. And they see the boys as pretty much, I don't want to say, they see the boys as just the next generation of the same old shit. Now here's another argument. Here's a counter argument. What if later on, I get, these boys grow up. I'm in my 40s. Because I'm 33 now. So 10 years later, let's say 12 years, I'm 45. And then these motherfuckers that can't read. They can't read. They can't do, because that's where the shit's going. The shit is bad. The shit is going to be horrible in the next 10 years. Like, it's going to be fucking, you think it's bad now? It's going to be fucking horrible. It really is. And this is why some people got to opt out the fuck now. But that permanent underclass shit is coming. And people say, somebody actually tries to ask me, well, why didn't you do this? Why you do that? Well, I'm going to say, why didn't your mama do it? Some people can say that's a fucking cop-out, but I'm going to be like, who raised you? Like, real talk. Who raised you? And this is not passing on blame. Why didn't your daddy do it? At the end of the day, that's the real question. Why didn't your mom and your daddy do it? What you asking me as a random motherfucker, why didn't your mom and your dad? This is also something that BGS hasn't used, but BGS should use against a lot of millennials that like to play the old nigga card. Why didn't your mom and your daddy do it? Your mama chose your daddy. So why didn't he do it? Well, you niggas don't take care of, well, what are you talking about who don't take care of who? Because at the end of the day, have you actually gotten the story from your dad, or you just listening to what your fucking mama tell you? Because at the end of the day, you wouldn't be here if your mama didn't fuck your daddy. So the real question is, why did she choose that father for you? That's the first decision she ever makes. And that's probably one of people talk about why you call BGS a master teacher. Your fucking master teacher is supposed to be your dad. And guess what? Maybe shit happens. And then it's her job to get a fucking stepfather. I was raised more with a stepfather. But at the end of the day, you know, your mama chooses the men that are around you. And we can't say she don't have an ability to get dudes around her because clearly you're here. That's what I'm going to say. Now, it's easier because everybody tells black men to just say niggas ain't shit. Okay, if you want to say that, that's cool. Even though statistics show that black men are around their kids more than any other group, even though black men get the most angst with it. My point, though, is really this thing about other men, like, and by the way, it's overblown how much women are coming in and saving other women. That's not what's really happening. Let's stop pretending like 92s are saving 85s and 82. That's not what's going on. You can look at any community and not see that. What they do is they do what the black church does. They come in, they pay lip service to shit, and then they vacuum money out of the community by giving hope and shit. Let's stop acting like, you know, like all like 50% of black women are kicking ass and taking names. But where's all these females when it comes to black women in debt? Where's all these females? Like all that. Come on, let's keep it real. Let's not. It's, you know, the female empowerment movement is no bigger than the black church, and the black church ain't saving the black community. The black church ain't even saving black women. So let's stop over. Let's get to a macro situation here. You know, like at the end of the day, man, there needs to be a separation. If you want black men to help a community, then then black men are gonna need to create a community that they can help. Because black men are not gonna go in. You're not gonna get a lot of these productive dudes. Because here's the thing, they don't get respect. You're not going to get a lot of these productive dudes to basically go into a system that fundamentally does not work for them. Men do not protect and invest in communities that they are not responsible for and in control of. That is a fact. You can't show me any situation where they do without rebelling. Black men are actually the closest to actually breaking that rule. And now you're starting to see that rule is reaffirming itself. At the end of the day, there is no community as is, and black men just need to get in line and help, and they need to help black boys. No. Another community needs to be created. What they do when they create a city out of another city, it needs to be another community. And those communities have to be, that community, if it's going to be created, whether it's SYSBM or what it is, because you do see black men creating their own sectors. You see that even on fucking YouTube. But the reality is this bullshit where the ideology is too great. And now that the cat's out of the bag with a lot of dudes, and a lot of dudes actually very much see what the problem is, and it's not just me or it's a lot of different dudes saying it, you're not going to put dudes back in that bottle. This is why the incentive becomes to lie. This is why I did that other video. Now the incentive becomes to deny and lie and lie and lie, because that's seen as protecting the race. Even though these problems never get solved. These problems have never been solved. These problems have only gotten worse. The black community is not getting better. Culturally, it's been sliding. It's never had an uptick. Economically, for the most part, it's sliding. As a group, you just have pockets of people that are doing well. There's a reason why I say 60% of black folks ain't gonna make it. And I'm not talking about that's all gonna be women. That's gonna be a lot of dudes. At the end of the day, It's not gonna happen. And at this point, all we doing is we're wishing upon a star like one of them fucking songs. And somebody would say, I don't have kids, so of course I can talk that shit. I'm telling you right now, when I have kids, my kids will be set up to win. Meaning, my kids will be very cemented in our community, and they will know what the fuck that is when it's there. It's ready for them to know it. If I have kids, and my kids will be set up with alternatives too, while still keeping it black. So that solves my problem. My kids will not be taught to lean and live and die on African Americanism alone. They will be taught to always try to invest in it to the extent they can find like-minded people, but they will not be taught. They will be taught to look at the world from a global perspective, but still identifying them in their blackness. And that's regardless who the fuck I have kids with. But yes, the woman I choose will have that in mind, which means they will be black. I'm thinking about, even though I don't know, I'm thinking about that shit now. I'm not having oops babies and then I gotta grab bag that shit later, cobble it shit together. And I'm not, of course I don't have the answers. I don't have kids, and some of the stuff you have to do it as you go. And I'm not under any illusion that that's the truth. But at the end of the day, man, you know, dude, motherfuckers are not playing no more. It's not no, like I was listening to that video, and then at the end, it said everything that need to be said. And it's not me trying to have a gotcha moment. It's no, we should be partnered. No, I don't partner. Look, here's the thing. I'll partner with a female on some business shit. But the reality is, when it comes to culturally, men lead. Period. And if you don't, and if a woman's in a leadership position, it's because a man is not there that needs to, that's willing to do it. But at the end of the day, if you're in that partnership, that shit, no, it's over. It's nothing to talk. There's nothing to talk about at that point. And when it was responded, well, I believe that men lead. Well, there you go. That is why men are not there. Because women don't want them there. Yeah, they'll pay lip service to it, but subconsciously, they don't want them there. And women have never even explored. Like, none of these women never ask why. Think about it. The women don't ask. In every other metric, if you're talking about a community thing, other women would say, okay, why are we, where are the men at? But with our women, that's not a problem. Because in their world, men not being there is actually an advantage. That's how they see it. Some people will come in with the bullshit, some but not all. You know what the fuck I'm talking about. Most white people didn't own slaves. Doesn't mean slavery didn't happen. Stop it. Everybody's saying the same shit. Everybody. No matter what generation, no matter what part of the country they come from, no matter what their ideology. Everybody, some of these people argue fiercely on a lot of different stuff. Most people do not agree with BGS Igbo's economic outlook. I understand what he's saying, but most people don't agree with it. But damn near everybody agrees with how he goes about this female shit. Everybody agrees with that. I can't tell you how many dudes that say, look, I'll fuck with economic shit, but when it comes to that shit, that's on point. And I don't really know what to say. Like, at the end of the day, it just is what it is. I mean, I'm comfortable with it. I mean, I'm comfortable as far as knowing what has to be done. I know why I came to the manosphere to really submit what was going on and what needs to be done. And I know what needs to be done. Separation. What really black men need to do, whether it's SYSBM with Igmore combination stuff, they need to pretty much do what the Nation of Islam did. You got your ideology. but it's still some ironing things that needs to be done because everybody doesn't come to SYSBM for the same reasons in the same way. That's what I mean. Not me trying to change SYSBM, but people getting on the same page, and then people need to link up. And by the way, from what Mad Bus Driver, what they say, that's the phases of SYSBM. You know, separate, like minds, and that stuff. So I'm not going to act like they already don't got that sewed up. And you do see people investing in other people that speak to the ideology. And I appreciate that. And it's time to start creating things. And I'm not talking about to prove anything to anybody, but I'm talking about just to facilitate shit. And there's great ideas for that. I'm excited for that. And look, me personally, I'm not, I hate black women. No. But it's time for black men to create their own shit and say, and to be fair, I can't tell you how many of you niggas constantly telling me, well, you don't need women in the space. It's fine. If that's what y'all want to, I get that. You know, that is what it is. I'm not going to be telling these niggas, oh, well, you need to have women in your space. If that's the conclusion you come to, then that is what it is. But at the end of the day, that's not the point. The point is dudes are setting their own rules. And that's what's important. And that's why, even though I have a difference of opinion on certain things, because I'm not quick to bring women, Shane talk about, oh, well, that's why you a cape it. Like, shut up. But I'm not quick to but at the end of the day, the importance is dudes are setting their own rules of being affirming. And what it is because there's none of these blown up conferences and shit like that to make shit official and all of that. That means something. No, it doesn't. A lot of black men are SYSBM and they don't even call it that. Shout out to Dean Cole. Somebody told me he said that he's out there in the Dominican Republic. Dean Cole is not what you would consider SYSBM. He said, I've been living that life. I ain't need to call it a name. Yes, a lot of black men are. And these are the same black men that you need if you need to invest in the community. Here's the thing, and this is what I would tell to anybody. Fuck SYSBM on YouTube. Don't even that's not really where the issue is. Fuck them. Why don't you go talk to the average, everyday black men that got resources and ask them? They don't even know what SYSB is. And you bring that same message to them without them having any knowledge of SYSBM. I promise you, they're going to say the same things a lot of SYSBM dudes are saying. I'm not going to just start blowing people's names up, but there's people that we were on BGS Igmore's channel, and we used to talk about that. People had no problem investing businesses, but the argument was, well, businesses are not enough. You have to have a presence. So now they want to dictate to you how you help. And a lot of people are like, you know what? I'm just going to deal with like-minded people. Fuck it. And that's why you get to where you get. Because it's not about, well, why aren't you helping black boys? Why aren't you doing that? Because these women don't want you to help black boys. I'm going to say that just right now. They don't want you to help black boys. All these black boys got mothers. So the question, here's the funny thing. I got a question. Why is it that black men are advocating for helping black boys, but black women are not advocating to help their sons? Why is it that I only hear certain like black men talking about help black boys, but these women are not advocating for helping their sons? Why is that? They're their sons. Why is that? Can anybody answer that question for me? Anyway. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of streams. It is what it is. Running my mouth. I wanted to take a break. I was working on my computer and shit. Arthur, you're right. We don't really have values outside of skin color, gender, loyalty. We really don't. Well, spiritual, I'm talking about the different branches for the purpose for you to understand that all those branches have a different ideology slightly. Or a reason for the split. Black Americans have a lot of wishes. No, Archer, you're right. Liberal, they do say that. And all liberals are not created equal. There's a lot of liberals in the Republican Party. there's a lot of liberal, like for instance, I would argue, well, it depends on most people have a very rudimentary view of what liberalism and conservatism is. That's why BGS always pisses people off. But the reality is, yes, I have heard that. Because what they're saying when they say liberals hate America, they're really saying liberals hate white America. Liberals hate what white people perceive as America. Right? This is why I say you're not pro-American, you're pro-white. And this is why Dynas will call it Captain America, because that's really what he's talking about. He's alluding to when he says that, because America is de facto white. But yeah, they do say that, and it's just as goofy. It's just as goofy, but they say that. And they've actually created laws, and they've created situations to act upon that. You ever heard of McCarthyism? Yeah, what up, Roastmaster? No, they don't care about truth. They care about getting money. The church is about getting money now. There's churches that do great things, but as a code, that it's about getting money. Jason Black said that with that wish shit. Absolutely, Evan. People need to this like-minded need to fuck with each other. I'm going to keep it real with you. The ideology I have in its rudimentary form, and if you don't agree with this, there's nothing that needs to be talked about. Now, here's the thing. There's people that agree with this point, but then we start straying off on other points. But if you don't agree with this point, there's nothing else that needs to be talked about after that, because it's a waste of time. I believe if you're talking about community, the black community, you prioritize black men, because to raise black men is to raise black people. Because a woman can only because at worst in the black community, a woman can basically piggyback off what a man is already doing. A rising tide raises all ships. That is not true for women. Men raise up. Women don't do that. So what you see as an entity is women, like what always gets said is women deal with what they know. Okay, then why isn't that black men don't do the same thing? Black men don't think that way. That's like a nice way of saying, well, women are selfish cunts. Like real talk. Women only give a fuck about women. They see men as a utility that's a necessary evil. Men don't think that way. They don't. So when you see that, it doesn't matter if it's painted in a nice way. And the problem is what people will say is these are not comfortable conversations. So how do you have these conversations without people getting at, oh, well, you're sucking away my energy. You're draining the vibe. These are uncomfortable conversations. It's like somebody saying, let's talk about, what happens to little black girls in sexual, sexual situations as far as like, molestation. There's no way to have that conversation without uncomfortable or draining good vibes. But if you want to have it, let's have the whole conversation. Let's have, what men do. Let's have how they're in the household, who's the custodian over most of those households, and the needs that actually get that dude in that fucking house. Let's talk about all of it. Because if we talk about all of it, then I'm willing to talk about it. That means we're serious on fixing it. But no, I don't want to talk about that. I just want to talk about how it's the man's fault. And even a lot of black men bring it up from that perspective. Nah, I mean, Evan Duncan, that's all a part. That's all. That's why they lump it. LGBTQ, whatever. That's all. It's the same thing. Yeah, you can branch it out a little bit, but it's the same thing. It all operates. Like the trans agenda is designed to normalize the gay agenda. So if people say, okay, you got to let trans people go, the gay agenda still stays. So, yeah, that's actually what you just said is actually a part of the plan. And never, Evan, they were never set up to succeed. Ever. And that tells you everything you need to know. And if you don't believe me, why are these women talking about where? This is why I keep saying women need to just go ahead and date out. Why are these women talking about? Because they talk about where's a black man as if they were ever meant to have one. That gap was always set up to be like that. So when people act like they don't fucking know why it's there, it really, that's what gets on my nerves, because what it does, that's what gets on my nerves, because it's such a willful delusion. You have to accept quite a few delusions in order to accept that as your. Well, what's going on with it's like a white it's literally like a white supremacist saying, well, I don't know why there's no black people at this level. Maybe it's just because they're inferior. I don't know. I don't know why black people don't have wealth. I have no idea. I was just born this way. You know? I don't know what they've done. Or if they want to be a little bit more honest about it, they look at the surface level and they see fuckery here and there, but they don't go all the way to where it started. This is why when you start telling real history, like this is why I like what's that movie, that TV show Watchmen. White people Google like the Tulsa, Oklahoma thing. White people literally Googled that shit because they refused to believe that actually happened. Now, for us, we talk about it every now and then, so we know this shit not only happened in Tulsa, it happened everywhere. But for white people, they actually can't accept that happened in one city because God forbid white people would do terrorism. Are you serious? That's not just what we do. Fuck the gun shootings, but that's just not what we do. That's not what happened. We didn't destroy your shit and take it. What are you talking about? You all are just upset. That's how they act. That's literally what I hear when I hear black men try to say the same shit about why black women are where they are. They ignore so much shit in order to come to that conclusion. You might as well be, man, please. It's the same shit. No, the churches were more of a metaphor. And see, here's the thing. I'm only paying service. They've already chosen that. They've chosen that already. So again, this is why, I said this in the original video. This is why black men don't go to a lot of those spaces. This is why black men don't go in a lot of those organizations. Because unless you're trying to, basically get money from black women, it's no point in doing it. It's really no point. There's 0 point. You might as well go into the regular zones. You might as well go into an internet marketing thing. You might as well, like normal shit, the white shit. You might as well not go to a black shit. Because you're dealing with, it's basically for black men, deal with white supremacy, deal with gynocracy. Pick your poison. That's really where we're at right now. And then you link up with like-minded motherfuckers. That's really where we're at. And a lot of people don't want to accept that, so they don't, but they never address it directly. This is why they get angry. They start shaming. They say you against black love. Get the fuck out of here. And another thing people like to say is they'll say this thing about, well, black women need to let you lead. No, you don't let you lead. You just leave. Because you have to create your own thing. No, black women don't need to let black men lead. Black men need to just bounce and create their own thing and remove the resources they have. And if women want to rotate and have their, their female land, then they just have that. And that is what it is. Black men just need to separate. Black men need to forge their own path because that's over. That's a ship that's over. That's already been taken over. There's no way you're going to lead. There's no way that black men are going to leapfrog as a group. Black men are going to leapfrog black women and put black women into the position that they need to be. No, there's no way that's going to happen because you have too many other forces that are invested in that not happening. So the only thing black men can really do is just reorganize into another group. That's all you do. And you pull whatever resources out that you're investing in that group. And that's the real threat that a lot of women have. That's what you do. And then whatever that group looks like, that's what it looks like. Yeah, like I said, you have to forge your own shit. That's all I'm saying. And a lot of this people say, well, you hate black. You must It's the same thing like when I say, well, you need to go be happy, and then women will tell me, oh, you must hate yourself. No, they can't logically understand it. It's like, no, I'm not in this fucking feedback loop where you're like, okay, on the one hand, I'm not on the feedback loop. You just need to pick. That's what I'm saying. And as men, there's no way that black men, or you're not going to get, there's no way black men, anybody just saying, like, there's no way that when you can look at the numbers, you can look at where things are going, especially with black men, and you fucking believe that with everything that black men don't control in this country, that all of a sudden black men are going to fucking leapfrog black women to the point where black women look to black men for leadership. Black women are looking to black men when they do for utility. They're not looking to black men for leadership. So when you hear all the complaints, what you really hear is the utility I see other women get from their men. I don't give a fuck why that is or what they do to get it. I'm not getting that. So you all are fucking up, and it's a fundamental misunderstanding because quite frankly, a lot of that information has been lost. There's a misunderstanding as to how to get that. So this is where the get the bag people come from. This is where the femininity people come from. Because femininity is a necessary evil for a lot of these women in order to get what they need to get. They look at femininity like a lot of dudes that are called lame look at game. It's really something they don't think they should have to do, but they clearly see that they're not getting the outcomes they want to get. But see, the problem is by the time they realize that, it's usually because their sexual marketplace values hit what it's hit. Now, let's be clear here. People that listen to my program for a long time, I used to talk about the direct sales industry and the network marketing industry and how many black women were in that industry. My thing is, there's a difference between dealing with somebody on a human level, a business level, and a sexual level. I said this, and I said this before. I said if I'm not fucking a woman, or I'm not doing business with a woman, or she's not related to me, then I don't see or there's no networking opportunities, which I lump in for business. Then there's or network opportunities for any of the other aspects that I named. There's no issue for even me to even give a lot of time and attention to that woman. That means I can get value from a woman outside of just sex. This is why I could promote a certain person, certain people, And like, it's not about that, because I don't look at women through that prism. Because see, one of the things about the silver linings, and I hate to even use that term, is look, at the end of the day, if you're somebody who can get shit done, there's gonna be women that find value in that. There's gonna be black women that find value in that. It depends on what the industry is. In an industry like direct sales, where at the end of the day, you're either making sales or you're not making sales. It's not about any of that fluff bullshit, because making sales is what gives to the lifestyle. So I know plenty of dudes that's built businesses, and they do their shit. And at the end of the day, they're effective at doing what they need to do. And they have a lot of women under them. They have some dudes under them. I'm talking about in the black sector. I've seen this. I've seen kick-ass women. So if you keep it business, that's to be fair. When she said partnership, that's what she was talking about. But see, the problem is, what people want to do is they want to take that same mentality and apply it to culture, not really understanding that it doesn't work that way. So when we're in a social situation where we're talking about the society and how you forge a black society, that's not how it can work. You have to understand that there are certain roles that people have, and it doesn't matter what position you think you are, you have to validate those roles, because that's what validates the collective. And at the end of the day, if you don't understand that, then we can't deal on that basis. Just like how somebody that's Muslim and somebody that's Christian, of course they can do business with each other. That doesn't mean they can share the same religion. So it's like, I can deal with you on this level, but not on another level. Because to deal with me on this level, this is what I'm about. So when we say, well, why don't you take this and help the community? Well, you see the community, whether you believe it or not, in a certain way. You see it as a gynocracy. You call that partnership and equality. That's what you call it. I call it gynocratic. It's not even matriarchal. Because even in matriarchal, the way the black church used to be was matriarchal. What you're doing is gynocratic. So as a rule, it may not be an issue now, but the outcomes that we have today are not outcomes that were just created. Those are outcomes that were created over and over and over off a lot of little situations. So that has to be pulled back. This is why these females about to be in a situation they're about to be in now, where they ain't got no men, and now they mad they ain't got no men. That didn't just happen. That was designed that way. And people went along with that shit. And not just women, men went along with that shit. And at the end of the day, at some point, you have to fundamentally say, no, we're going in a different direction. And what most men do not get on YouTube and talk all this shit about black women. That's not what most men do. You can look at our numbers and see it's not that many black men in comparison that are doing that. What most men do is what most men do in relationships. They don't break up with a chick that's got some good pussy. They just start cheating. They start cheating. They start opting out slowly. They don't officially break up. And to be fair, women do the same shit too. But dudes start cheating. They start saying, you know what? If she catch me, she catch me. Usually they get sloppier about it. They just opt out. They don't tell you what they're doing. They don't tell you what's going on. They choose not to have the argument. And then what happens is the bullshit festers over and over and over and over and over again. And over again. And then it blows up. And a culmination of a relationship ends. Like a lot of these women, They talk about, oh, we get divorced because men are not faithful. Yeah, that may be. Black men don't cheat more than any other group of men. But the way black men go about it is a lot of dudes may be faithful at first. And then you start fucking with him, his manhood a little bit too much. And then what you do is you combine that with women having a home wrecker culture, and then with a black man being married, and because of the home wrecker culture, a lot of these dudes have more priority than they otherwise would have in the greater general market. What happens is these dudes basically start cheating. It was the same thing with Carmelo. They want to talk about Carmelo cheated. Carmelo cheated once Lala did that damn scene making him look like a fucking fool. And at the end of the day, dudes go and they cheat to get their nuts back. You basically try to emasculate him, and you take him down a couple of emasculation points, and basically he has a need to basically fix that or recover that, and that's how he recovers it. And then you're upset because he cheated. No, you basically weren't playing your role. That all dudes. Some dudes are just fuck niggas. But guess what? Most black men that want pussy don't get married. Most black men that know they can't be faithful don't get married. Unless they're in a situation like the 92s are, where getting married actually will help your station. But other than that, outside of the top 10%, and even then, again, those men don't do anything different. I would argue they don't do anything different than what other men do. They are within the same parameters as what other men do. Black men do not cheat more. And if you want to make that argument, that's really making an argument that black men are more sexually valued, because if black men are cheating more at that level, it's because they have more access and more preference for women to do so. It's not that black men are just looking to do that, because there's too many penalties to cheat. There's too much when it comes to what a man can lose. So when Lonnie Love was saying that shit, she was saying that shit as if not being faithful has its, like, there's no cost to not being faithful. There is a, like she was saying that, like, men can just cheat and just outwardly get away with it. And that's not true. But anyway, but the point is, my point to that is dudes opt out. They just do them. They don't wave the flag, SYSBM, and just run. They just do them. But fuck, before SYSBM was fuck, I even came to the manosphere. I can't tell you how many black mentors I had. I didn't have that many, but I've had plenty of dudes that are married, dudes that are popular, that they will pass all the fucking tests that y'all talking about. All of that. Getting bitches, the black women like them, all of that. You know? And they were married to respectable women. Like, I'm thinking about 3 or 4 dudes that are like 10 years older than me. They told me, they said, you know, if this doesn't work out, I'm doing this, or this. They all said similar shit. Whether they were married, some of them weren't married. And this is when I was in my early 20s. They said the same shit. And they were married. The same shit. Because they knew what they were. And it wasn't that they were in bad marriages or they didn't have control of their women. These are not dudes that you would say that. But they said the same shit. And these are women, to be fair, that were pretty cooperative. But they said the same shit. If this shit don't go right, you know, I'm doing me. This is not new. It's just black men have not been loud about it. It's like going overseas. There's been a small percentage of black men that's been going overseas for a while. It's been recent that people are actually promoting it. They learned it from the white boys and they did it on their own. That's why when that Frustrated came out, it was a big deal. It was dudes that were figuring that out on their own. And it was kind of like, well, as long as you know, unplug people like individually and you don't try to promote it and the technology was that way, then nobody cares, because it never became a threat, because it never reached a potential of even potentially getting under critical mass. So now it's a threat because you have people where people can easily access this shit, and this is like the last step before it really blows. But the reality is it doesn't matter anymore because the Z's are coming out the gate like that. These kids that are 21, 22, like my brother is like, my youngest brother is like one of them transitional, well technically he's a millennial, but he's really like a millennial and a Z. He's 23, so he's like 1 year out of it, like officially 2 years out of it. So it's really like what now, 22, 21, and he's 23. So really 21 and under is really like what a Z is. These dudes are coming out the gates. It doesn't matter. And they're not hearing nothing like that pro-black shit. What the fuck are you talking about? They're not hearing none of that shit at all. At all. And it's not because of SYSBM. Not because of a fucking video they heard on YouTube. It's not because of none of that shit. This is why you got these females yelling colorism all the goddamn time. It's not because YouTube told them about colorism. It's because of what they're seeing on the ground. Corey Holcomb is a perfect example. And Corey Holcomb is 50. And he's been around for years now. Look at fucking Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart's been, I remember Comic View. That was in the early 2000s. This shit ain't nothing new. Look at Ricky Smiley and his son. Dudes are not getting on YouTube. That's not what most dudes are doing. And even the dudes we're talking about, I can show you dudes that you would never think, if I just looking at their picture, you would not think they're quote unquote doing those at what I call SYSBM parameters, but they're doing it. Russell Taylor, even though he dates black women, Dominican, as they're doing their own thing and they all have their own stories. The point is SYSBM is not this like vanguard, this ushering in this lifestyle. What they're doing is maybe giving more promotion to it than they otherwise would have. But black men have been opting out. And if you don't believe me, SYSBM did not exist before the stepdaddy market collapsed. Black men are not playing the stepdaddy game no more. SYSBM, or that shit was happening before SYSBM, and that shit was happening before MGTOW. So how do you explain why black men are choosing to be single and black men are not choosing to get with these single moms? Other than fucking. Dudes are like, shout out to Archer. Dudes are like, I'm pumping and dumping and I don't give a fuck. Fuck that. And you're not going to tell me I'm wrong for doing that. Because at the end of the day, there is no contract. And there's no contract because they don't want one. They don't want one. Because at the end of the day, they want you to get up under what the fuck they're doing. And to me, that's no different. That is no different than white boys saying you all need to submit to what the fuck they're doing. And this is why you got SYSBM and you got Igmore. Because they're like, nah, because y'all on that fuck shit too. I fuck with you when it's mutually beneficial. Other than that, you stay your ass over there and I'll do my shit. You can call it ghetto, you call it what the fuck it is, it's mine. And that's all I'm saying. Me personally, I have no problem dealing with women. Because I know that I know how to hold the fucking line. Dudes be like, oh, why you letting women take over male spaces? I don't let women take over male spaces. Me personally, I hold my fucking line. And it's valuable. Whether even when I'm quote unquote caping for women. I'm caping for women that argue for a point. And when they argue against that point, I call them out. It's not about I'm sitting there. Y'all ain't never seen me get on no female space and all of a sudden I'm like projecting this 50-50 message of bullshit. And it's where black men are at fault, I'm going to say they're at fault. Where black women are at fault, I'm going to say they're at fault. It's no different. Because I'm not out here trying to fuck these chicks online. I'm not out here, well, I'm trying to get pussy, so I'm going to say some shit just to be nice. No, that's not how I operate. Because I know how to separate that. Y'all got to remember, I'm short. So if you got a chick that's like 5'8", 5'9", or some shit, that chick could be fine as hell. I'm not fucking her because I don't climb trees. So I can literally turn my brain off. Damn, man, you don't want to hit that? Why? I'm short. I'm not hitting that. Shit looks stupid. So, and Zion, I mean, the stepdaddy market was already fucked up. And yeah, I gave Zion Williams kind of a side eye. I look at what Zion Williams did to his stepdad the same way I look at what Sylvester Stallone did to dude that directed Creed. I'm like, dude, you're relevant again. You was about to not mean shit after Expendables. He made you relevant again, and you couldn't even think of his name. Are you fucking serious? He wrote the script you used to actually get that Golden Globe. But whatever. And I looked at the same thing. And I like Zion Williams. But at the end of the day, I was like, but that's the programming. And by the way, that stepdad ain't some random nigga. That stepdad's a basketball player. And to be fair, even though that was disrespectful, his mom got that dude for him. So I'm going to give her a little bit of credit. Because she did her job. She got the teacher for him. She did her job. But at the end of the day, that's shit, but that's programming. That's the programming. Mama. I mean, attractive 5'2" chicks. I mean, typical women that are going to be in the attractive range are going to be between 5'2" and 5'7", unless you're talking about models. Most of these Instagram thoughts are like between 5'4" and 5'7". You know what, Archer? I wouldn't have thought you was. I don't know why. I wouldn't have thought you was that tall. Some of you motherfuckers are big as hell. Nah, I won't do that, Doug. You can do that. I won't do that. But that's preference. And here's the thing, man. Y'all, one thing, and I'm going to say this and I'm going to end this video. Y'all got to stop having hard feelings. One thing that the SYSBM, and this is something that's going to be unpopular. I don't give a fuck, but it is going to be unpopular for me to say this. Y'all give a lot of heat for a lot of these guys. Y'all need to stop having hard feelings. Like, we know what black female fuckery is. You don't need to convince nobody what black female fuckery is. Even motherfuckers that cape for black women, they know what it is. The need to I'm not gonna say it's being done viciously, but so pointedly, talk about what black women are doing. And this is really a commentary on myself as well. It's really not necessary. Because I'm not saying this to cape for women. What I'm saying is it comes off, and I'm talking for myself too. It comes off as you have to prove to somebody why you're doing what the fuck you're doing. When it's as obvious as it is, I'm not saying for dudes to all of a sudden stop talking about black people. That's all I'm saying. But what I am saying is, it's really, we know what the fuck it is. So at the end of the day, it's not about, well, I'm getting away. It doesn't matter. I'd rather black men tell black women to go get non-black men, and we just do what the fuck we do, and we don't even promote. You don't even promote what the fuck you're doing, except when we're talking amongst each other. Now, this goes back to why dudes say you should have a black male space, and ain't nobody asking women to listen, and that would be valid. But we know what it is. They know what it is, and they're gonna know what it is. And at the end of the day, you're always gonna have a certain amount of dudes that are gonna, like, for instance, now that is Ramil and Fantastic. It's not that much of a need for me to go as hard as I go, because they're there. When I first did this, yeah, you had people that are SYSB. Of course, you had people like Darius Big Towel. You had Organic, these huge channels. But ain't nobody was breaking shit down the way I fucking was breaking it down. No, none of them niggas was talking about a gynocracy. They were just saying it's fucked up, but they weren't saying why. They weren't really breaking that down. Now the other people actually are starting to listen. It's not that much need for me. And it's more in my role in shit like this needs to be more to see if I can help facilitate building infrastructure and using my internet marketing skills and funneling money to build shit and scale shit up. I mean, you go to Asia, you'll see some females 4'11", but, and I don't mean some, but a lot of times when I hear some of these females talking, you don't have to agree with what they're saying, but y'all get real animated. And it's one thing if somebody's talking over and over and over and saying the same shit, but there has to be a back and forth. And you know, sometimes I do this. But it has to be, it can't be this, oh my God, why the fuck are you talking? I can't stand hearing you. If they're going to say the same shit, let them say the same shit. And then we have the same rebuttals and then park them into an actual answer. And if they don't want to answer it, they'll just hop off. I'm not saying it, but I just don't have that issue. Maybe I don't have that problem because at the end of the day, I know what the fuck I'm talking about. And if you're adding something to it, then, I'm grateful. I'm happy to hear it. But if people are going to say the same shit they're going to say, then I'm going to answer it in the same way I answer it. I may switch it up depending on who the person I'm dealing with. This is why I like to ask open-ended questions. So when people say, well, why are black men, not helping black boys? Okay, why are these black women not helping their sons? That, because black men are not helping black boys because black men are not invested in black boys. That's the easy answer. Like black men are, first of all, the truth is black men are not going to be invested in kids they don't claim and kids that are not theirs. Not like that. In order to get, other races of men do it. That's because other races of men have a contract and they have a script. We don't have that in the black community. Even if they don't think about why they're doing what they're doing, they know there's a benefit to why they're doing what they're doing. And there's a benefit that's agreed upon by all groups. Where is that in the black community? And I leave them to respond. And they'll either they won't know because a lot of the shit I'm talking about has never been presented to them before. You can literally see their brain calculating because they've never been asked that because this is what they know and what's always been accepted. They've never asked these questions because to open these doors, these are negative doors. To give you a reverse, just like when I hear niggas, I see Danielle in here. Just like I hear dumbass niggas that talk about they like, oh, I like big bitches. I don't like skinny bitches. What's your depth? Give me a person. Give me a person that's skinny. Christina Milian. Christina Milian is not skinny. She's small, but she's not skinny. So give me an example of somebody you think that's the right size. Give me two people. And those people tell me what their marker is. And a lot of times I'm like, okay, would you say Jill Scott is thick? No, man. Okay, well, a lot of these chicks be having stomachs like, oh, so what the fuck are you talking about? And you see these dudes and what they do, and I'm coming at dudes like this. They have this, so one dude was, they have this shit about poverty. And they have this sexual poverty thing where dudes that have an impoverished mindset tend to like fat women. I don't give a fuck how you niggas try to slice it or dice it. And I'm going to tell you right now, fucking fat bitches is a form of incel behavior. And there is a lot of black men like that. And what happens is you got men that are not of means that are telling, well, I like a big bitch, so you need to get fat. So they're getting these signals to where by the time they get to a man, because there's a difference between a woman that has an hourglass figure and a fat bitch. But most black men, they literally can't tell the difference. A lot of black men can't. because they're so used to being around women that are fat as fuck. So black men do it too. Black men do a lot of the denial shit too. They just do it in different ways. And that's one of the things the manosphere did not know. We knew we kind of had an idea what the women were on, but we didn't realize how many dudes were just in absolute denial. And are in denial on a lot of shit as much as black women. And now it makes sense as to why black women are as comfortable where they are, because they've never been challenged on their bullshit, because a lot of these niggas are just going along with the script too. Real fucking talk. Anyway. Kelly Rowland is not skinny. Kelly Rowland is normal. Kelly Rowland is normal. So question, do you have a concept of what normal is, or do you just say skinny or fat? Give me somebody that, before I end this video, give me somebody that is built that you would say is normal. Taylor Swift is skinny. Good, that's a good one. Taylor Swift is skinny for a white chick. What fucks her up is Taylor Swift is very tall, too. I agree, Archer. I mean, what Archer says is true. Anyway. But that's a good method. Like, just ask people at the barbershop. Ask them who would they consider normal. And that tells you everything you need to know. Anyway. Yeah, but look. I mean, I would say Pam Grier would be. Pam Grier, well, we'll leave that to your imagination. Anyway, with that being said, this is Edward signing off. Peace. You.